Hello and welcome to Ani's Short Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Witch of Brighstone. The Isle of Wight had its fair share of ghost stories, but none sent shivers down spines like the legend of the Witch of Brighstone. Villagers whispered of a woman accused of dark sorcery centuries ago, her name erased from records but not from memory. They said she cursed the village with her dying breath, swearing vengeance on all who remained. Holly Arnold had heard the tale since childhood, but as a journalist specializing in folklore, she wanted more than old wives' tales. She arrived in Brighstone on a blustery autumn evening, the sky streaked with dying embers of the setting sun. The village, quaint yet unnervingly quiet, sat beneath the looming presence of Brighstone Forest, where, legend had it, the witch met her end. Armed with a recorder and a notebook, Holly began her investigation. The locals were reluctant to speak, their faces tightening at the mere mention of the witch. "Best leave it alone, miss," warned an elderly man at the village pub. "She walks when the clock strikes midnight, and those who see her don't see much else." Undeterred, Holly ventured into the forest at dusk. The skeletal trees rattled in a wind, their branches clawing at the sky like fingers of the long dead. She traced a narrow path to a clearing where the remnants of an ancient stone circle stood. Lichen covered and cracked with age, the stones pulsed with an unnatural chill. Then came the whispering. Holly turned sharply, scanning the trees. The murmurs wove through the wind, unintelligible yet filled with menace. Her breath fogged in the air. The temperature had dropped dramatically. "Who's there?" she called, voice steady despite the icy tendrils curling around her spine. No answer, only the rising wind and the unmistakable sound of footsteps circling her. Heart hammering, Holly gripped her flashlight and swept its beam across the clearing. Nothing but twisted trees and gnarled roots. But then she saw it carved into one of the stones. A name. Faint, barely visible beneath centuries of decay, Lena Wythe. The name sent a chill through her. Was this the witch's true identity? Holly reached for her camera when the whispers became a shriek. A guttural wail ripped through the forest, shaking the trees and sending a murder of crows screaming into the sky. Then silence. A shadow loomed at the edge of the clearing. A woman, draped in ragged black, her face obscured by a tangle of wild, matted hair. Eyes dark void reflecting no light fixed on Holly. Holly staggered back, her voice locked in her throat. The figure raised a gnarled hand, fingers curling as if weaving an invisible thread. The air thickened, pressing in on Holly's chest. Her vision blurred, the trees seemed to close in. A ringing filled her ears. With a burst of adrenaline, Holly stumbled backward, her boot catching on a root. She hit the ground hard, gasping as the breath was knocked from her lungs. Scrambling to her feet, she turned and ran, the shadows clawing at her heels. She burst from the forest, panting, collapsing onto the village road. The moment she crossed the boundary, the suffocating force lifted. Behind her, the forest loomed in eerie stillness. The figure was gone. Shaken but alive, Holly clutched her recorder, still blinking with a red light. She had proof. Proof that the Witch of Brighstone still walked. And perhaps her curse was far from over. That night, as she lay in the dim confines of the local inn, Holly reviewed her recording. The whispers were there, growing louder, more insistent. Then, just as she was about to turn it off, another sound emerged. A low, rasping breath. A voice. "You should not have come." Holly's blood ran cold. She spun around, her pulse hammering in her ears. The room was empty, yet the air felt heavy, suffocating. The mirror across the room was fogged as though something had breathed against it. Then, slowly, letters began to form in the condensation. "Leave." A frigid gust blasted through the room, snuffing at the bedside lamp. Holly bolted upright, heart pounding. A shadow flickered in the corner of her eye, vanishing before she could focus on it. The village was right. The curse wasn't just a story. And now, it knew her name. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had or have a great day.